Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. Today we're going to dive into the single that put Toto on the map called Hold the Line. I'm not familiar with the song. I've only heard Africa before, and I'm particularly looking forward to hearing Bobby Kimball take the lead. Let's get to it. Ooh.
It's not in the way that you hold me. It's not in the way you say you care. It's not in the way you've been treating my friends. It's not in the way that you stayed till the end. It's not in the way you look or the things that you
Okay, first impressions. I have to tell you, I feel a little bit, a little like disoriented about the timing in some of these things. And it's probably because that piano intro is actually really intricate. At first, I didn't realize it had a compound rhythm underneath. It was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it has some interesting shifts in the chords. So I wasn't sure where our time signature was, which always makes me feel like, whoa, what boat am I on? Right. But also, when I heard Bobby Kimball, it was in Africa. And I mean, I think this is Bobby Kimball still here, right? That was a live performance, so this is a totally different thing we're getting today. And in that performance of Africa, I think we had David, I think it's Paik, was singing our lead, and then Bobby Kimball was essentially doing backup, but only was coming in on the super high parts. So his voice here is actually got a lot more roundness than I expected in the lower part. We'll see where it goes. But first, back to the beginning. I'm going to talk about this piano part a little extra too. 1, 2, 3, 4. So before I realized I had a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, there's something about how it shifts the chords and accents certain beats that makes me think that there would be a 1, 2, 3, 4 in there, which most songs are in 4/4. The vast majority are in just a standard 4/4. And having a compound rhythm underneath with essentially a subset of 3, much more rare. My mind instantly wanted to put this in a square. I'll show you again where some of this is happening. It's confusing, actually. Right there. He did a couple switches that gave, until that moment when the drums came in, I was like, wait a second. What's our time signature? And I really like that. I like it when something is slightly elusive. I like being fooled a little bit here. I think it's fun. Do you feel how that is just like a little off kilter? And I like the way he's just leaning on it, like chilling here, making up cool rhythms. That's a bold line.
It's not in the way that you hold me.
It's got a nice
It's not
voice.
in the way you say you care. It's not in the way you've been treating my friends. It's not in the way that you stayed till the end.
Wow.
It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. For the line, love isn't always on time.
Gosh.
For the line, love isn't always on time.
That's really nice. I think that was our first chorus, or maybe it was just a half chorus there. We just got, obviously, there was a really big choral chorus moment, essentially, where we got so much harmony. I think that was our first chorus. And I loved the way it broke out into harmonies there. Right? They're so tight but the harmonies are just expansive at the same time, right? Tight meaning like clean, really nicely tuned, but then rangy. I also am really loving the way that this has a lot of punch. Right? It's got a lot of drive in the sound overall. It hits. That's partly actually from the instruments, but it also comes through in the vocal line. There's a lot of in your face kind of moments. But then additionally, there there is just a beautiful line in the vocals. I think that we have to be really careful because as vocals, if you want to really drive something home, a lot of times vocalists will think about just hitting all these notes, forgetting that their job is to soar. Like a vocalist, you need to just have this gorgeous melody that people can hook into. Unless you're singing deathcore, then you can punch and let the guitars do the melody, right? Let's go back a little bit. Here-ish is where he starts singing. I want to go back to where he starts in. Oh yeah, it was a really cool intro. It was right into the sound. So I love the way that right when we get into this vocal line, we're diving in and there's a slight harmonic shift as well. It's almost like he's picking up as if the idea was already going and he just was continuing it. Holy. It's just, it's nice. It's got a lot of soul. I love that moment especially. Gosh, what was that word? Is it just in? I want to say stay till the end. There's this thing he does right there that really gets me. I'll play it again. It's not in the way that you stay till the end. That he goes in with the sound. A lot of times we're looking at just delivering our sound out to the audience, making sure it gets the really beautiful resonance, maybe thread it through the mask. But sometimes singers do this thing where there's a sensation essentially of the sound like traveling back. We'll sometimes call it innig. I loved that direction whenever I was singing German lieder, German songs or arias. And you'd see this I-N-N-I-G, which means like inward essentially. So there's a way of like holding on to the sound, almost like doing a double marination of it. And it when I hear it, not only do I think it sounds good, but I think it feels yummy. It's not in the way you've been treating my friends. It's not in the way that you stay till the end. There's also like a little lean into it. One more time, okay? It reminds me just a tiny bit of Michael Jackson too. I gotta put that out there. There's a stylization in there that feels a little bit MJ. It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. That's such a good build-up. Love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. For the line. Love isn't always on time. That high harmony is so awesome. And I think that at this point we've got, is that the same melody that was in the instruments in the intro? We've gotten into the meat of this song actually really, really quickly, which if you go to seminars talking about how to write a pop hit, a lot of times people recommend that you get to the meat of it sooner and sooner, and there are trends that show that pop songs that do this are more likely to succeed. I like having uniqueness in songs personally. I don't know that we need to have like all top chart hitters, but I do particularly like the way that this just feels like it grabbed me from wherever I was heading. It was like, you are in our song now. It's demanding. Let's keep going. Always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's not in the words that you told me. It's not in the way you say your mind. Ooh. It's not in the way that you came back to me. It's not in the way that your love set me free. It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. For the lie. He's such a good singer. Wow. Before it was like, sorry, he's such a great singer. Let's say that he was good before. There were some amazing high notes I've heard him sing. There's a lot of beautiful continuity, lots of delicious expressions, but this verse took it to the next level.
Always on time. Oh, oh, oh. It's not in the words that you told me. Where
I love that toss off and then extra.
in the way you say your mind. Ooh.
That's just so connected. It doesn't feel like it's stretching his voice even. I get the sensation that he's got another octave at least on top of this top note. That's part of why it's so impressive to me. I hear it and I go, that just sounds so full and connected. And even though it's thrilling, it feels easy still.
It's not in the words that you told me. Where it's not in the way you say your mind. Ooh.
Ooh,
It's not in the way that you came back to me. It's not in the way that your love set me free. It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. For the lie, love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. For the line, love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
they really love their diphthongs. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He had an ooh, 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 which was, I mean, working with ooh and kind of towards an O as well earlier. And then line, right? Diphthong. In case you haven't been around this channel long enough to know what a diphthong is, we like to talk about it a lot. It's when you got two vowel sounds combined into just one. So line, that middle vowel there, I, is actually a combination of an ah and an e vowel, line. And when you sing, you have to figure out, well, what pitches do each of those vowels go on? How soon should I move from one to the other? And in their case, can I reiterate it and play with it? Check it out. There's your O vowel, or your O diphthong. Line. They really play their diphthongs, man.
Love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. For the line, love isn't
Wow.
always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That is an epic tone. Ooh. Ooh. Awesome.
It's not in the words.
There were a few things in particular about this guitar solo that I liked, and let's go back and hear it one more time. But let's talk about some of what made this so awesome. First thing, just the tone. It feels so epic. I love the amount of verb that's put on that, a lot of reverb. Uh, Additionally, it was interesting how when it first opened, it was a little bit more sparse in the different instruments. They weren't filling it with as much energy. We were basically continuing the energy we had before. And then about halfway through, got a lot more filling in. It gave it an extra boost of energy. Like it was just starting to go wild. There was one, oh gosh, the harmonies of it were also really cool. Really cool. This whole song has a ton of drive. Feels like both driven and grounded at the same time. Here we go. Right? Same kind of fills that we had, I think, under the chorus. And this hook that we've been hearing over and over in the bass especially. And now ramp up the energy in the fills. his tone, and when he comes in there, that just it makes me want to lend to my ear to be like, yeah, tell me about it. It just his gosh, like how do we describe that? We can use voice science to describe so many aspects of what makes a voice great, but also sometimes they're just things that transcend what we can describe with voice science. I think there's a slightly conversational placement with his resonance and also with how he expresses certain words, like told me that there's a toss off there where he like gets to the top pitch and then slides off of it a little bit more. That's really grabbing. I think there's also a naturalist to the way the phrasing is set up. It's not in the way. It's not in the way. It feels like it's diving into the whole line. Those harmonies are so good.
It's not in the words that you told me.
I just like it.
It's not in the way you say you're mine. Ooh. It's not in the way that you came back to me. It's not in the way that your love set me free. It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. Or the lie. Love isn't always on time. Oh, oh.
So love the vocals there, obviously. I'm thinking a little bit more now about the message and what the meaning is here. It's so interesting. Hold the line means like stay steady, and love isn't always on time. I think that it's almost saying like be faithful or wait for it. Love will come to this situation. I think it's really, really interesting in the way that it's all about what it's not. Not in the words that you told me, not in the way you say you're mine, not in the way you came back to me. Yeah, it's maybe I think digging into what the this idea that love is just a lot more persistent and steady, and maybe uh can't be pinned on just one thing. But on the other hand, when I look at this and I'm like, wait, the way that your love set me free, I'm thinking, that's so romantic. That's lovely. Ah, I love this idea, but it isn't about that because, gosh, sometimes I think it really is. I've got two minds here. I'd love to hear what you think of the lyrics of this song. Tell me in live chat right now, okay?
It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. Or the lie.
Ah,
Always on time.
it's so catchy right away.
Or the line. Love isn't always on time. Love isn't always on time.
Hey-o.
Or the line.
I loved hearing him add a little more distortion to the top. And one other side note here, I think it's so interesting how there are elements of this song that are actually really, really simple. Like this riff that keeps being played over and over and over. It becomes very predictable by the end of it. Even the chorus, right, is hold the line. Love isn't always on time. Just two phrases. And then I think they get repeated or maybe they get shifted around. But you've got two sentences. That's all the chorus is. There's stuff that's super, super simple. But then you have things like that piano intro, which actually had quite a bit of complexity to it. Keyboards in this are on fire. And then you also have these little flourishes in the vocal line on fire. There are all kinds of little intricate moments essentially in the entire band that take it from being not just something simple that anybody can sing along to or play along to something that to do really well takes a lot of skill. I'll go back a little.
Love isn't always on time. Oh, oh, oh. Or the line. Love isn't always on time. Love isn't always on time.
This is such a powerful song.
Love isn't always on time. Love isn't always on time.
I did not see that end coming up. I love the way they started just repeating this last line over and over and actually dropped out a lot of instruments just to focus on how delicious all of those stacked harmonies are. This is one of my favorite things about Toto's sound so far is those incredible harmonies. I think the whole band is just full of fantastic vocalists. Not only are the harmonies in tune, which is fantastic and can be helped in a studio, but I think this was really before they were doing that too much. The harmonies also being live, you have to have a certain consistency to that to be able to do it over and over. And they are all powerful singers. It's very well balanced. Okay, back here, and we'll let it play out.
Love isn't always on time.
Right there, I love the dropout just to appreciate the
Love isn't
harmonies.
always on time. Love isn't always on time. Love isn't always on time.
Whoa. I love the energy of this song. It just it makes me feel very powerful and empowered, but I'm not sure why still. I think it's empowered to hold the line, stay true. Let me know a little bit about what you think of these lyrics. Let me know in those YouTube comments. Of course, if you're there with me in live chat, we've been probably talking about it a lot already. And by the way, if you want to join us in a live premiere, we do them every single Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time because Arizona doesn't change times like so many other crazy places in the world. Anyhow, if you want some more awesome analysis, check out this playlist over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.